Today we have lesson number 20. Already 20 lessons. Let's see. By now, you should have about 130 words in your vocabulary. So this is the second part of our vocabulary, just for reference. Those that you have learned in the second part of the course. Привет, Шарбас. Nice to see you. Last few lessons, we were learning the verbs, how to conjugate them in the present tense. And today we are going to do some exercises. I will randomly choose a few verbs and I'll ask you to conjugate them, but or I'll give you a sentence in English and I'll ask you to translate it to Russian. Here are the sentences that I would like you to translate. Only 6. So this is the first task for today. Please help me translate these sentences to Russian language and write all that in the chat. Some of those some of those verbs, they belong to the first group of verbs, some belong to the second group, so I decided to make it random. And I believe it might take you time. No, don't worry, take your time if you need. You can either translate all of them and then post, or you can translate one by one. So it's okay. Shahbaz, the first sentence is correct. Keep going. Since it takes a bit of time, our line, your version is correct. I believe this is challenging since there are so many rules involved. There is the first group and the second group, and there are exceptions here and there. So I believe it's quite hard to learn all these rules within 3 lessons. So don't be afraid if you don't know, if you're not sure. I'll help you translate. I have received most answers from Sharbaz, but I'll wait for others, at least one or two people.
Sir, what is the meaning of argue? Zabil.
You're asking what is the meaning of arguing?
Yes, sir.
To argue, well, the meaning of arguing, if you translate it to Russian language, it would be спорить. However, in the Russian language, the word спорить is not necessarily bad, because you can have a civilized argument as well. I think in English, it normally has a negative meaning. If somebody is arguing, it means that there are some emotions involved. But in Russian language, it can be both. It can be good or bad. Let's say Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr, they had an argument over the theory of relativity, but this was a civilized argument that was positive. Does anybody else want to give some try? No? Okay, one more minute. If you guys, if you're still taking something. Okay. So the correct answer would be we are eating. Correct answer. We are eating. Мы ждем, мы кушаем, мы кушаем. They are reading. Они читают. He is arguing. Он спорит. I'm having a breakfast. Somebody? Yeah, Arline wrote. So there was at least one correct answer. Я завтракаю. We are waiting. Мы ждем. My name is Ivan. Меня зовут Иван. Okay. Just another exercise. Since today we are revising what we have learned, and I have recalled one very, very important verb that I should have told you before, but I forgot about it. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to conjugate it for you. You can also recall how to conjugate verbs. The verb is делать. Делать. It is a very important verb. It means to do or to make. And this verb belongs to the first group of verbs. So now when I'll be adding the endings, it should feel a bit familiar for you. So I'm doing or I'm making would be я делаю, ты делаешь, оно делает, мы делаем, вы делаете, они. Я делаю, ты делаешь, он делает, мы делаем, вы делаете, они делают. Okay, guys, a question for you. So those were the revision exercises, but please tell me, do you want to do more revision exercises today? Or you want to learn some new grammar? We can do both. Verbs is a very difficult part. So we can make more exercises today, or we can learn new grammar. Please tell me, what do you prefer? If you want, I can also repeat all the rules again. Canvas is always trying to move forward. Repeat. Okay. Other people, please tell me what you prefer, repeat or to have a new lesson. I guess we're gonna do something like a compromise. I'll repeat for you briefly. Okay. In Russian language, there is a big number of verbs, and they roughly belong to two groups, the first group and the second group, and they conjugate slightly differently. They conjugate differently. For most verbs that belong to the first group, you need to take the infinitive form of it. The infinitive form normally ends with t. Then you take away t and replace it with another specific ending. So, for example, if you want to say I work, I would say я работаю. Я работаю. Ты работаешь. Он работает. Мы работаем. Вы работаете. Они работают. This will be the first group. Then the second group would have a different set of endings. So работать is the first group, and let's look for a good example of the second group of verbs. Смотреть. Смотреть, I think, is a good verb because it behaves in a standard way. Okay, the second group. Я смотрю. Смотрю. Смотрите. Смотрю. Повторять is in the first group. And here are two big challenges, which unfortunately I cannot explain to you professionally. Many verbs have exceptions. So means that some verbs, they strictly follow these rules, some they don't strictly follow these rules. And for each verb, I suggest you must individually learn the way it conjugates, memorize. And the second problem, apart from many exceptions from the rules, is that it's very difficult to identify which group does the verb belong to. Whether it's the first, you see a new word, and it's very hard to tell whether it's the first group or the second group. And again, I suggest you must learn it individually. Hopefully, in the lesson, in the course for A2, we're planning to have course A2. We will have a professional Russian teacher with experience who can maybe give you more hints on those rules. But at my level of experience of learning Russian and teaching Russian, I cannot give you like a very clear rule how it works. I suggest that every verb you must learn individually. But roughly, it works like this. You see that in the first group, the dominating vowel, which repeats most frequently in the ending, is the vowel ye. And in the second group, it's the vowel e. So normally for us, for Russians, right? When we hear a new verb we haven't heard before, we very quickly understand whether it's the first group by intuition, because we know those rules. So I would say even immediately I know whether it's the first group or the second. Okay, so this is roughly what I can the revision that I can do for you. I think we have about 5 lessons left, and I think that for the rest of the today there will be a little bit of new material, and maybe next lesson there will be a little bit of new material, and the remaining lessons, maybe 3-4 lessons, we will only be doing the revision. So I will be giving you exercises on the rules that you have learned before for the entire course, so that you can still ask me questions which you didn't understand. And, so now we can perhaps move on to the next topic. We have learned some ways how to make simple sentences in Russian language. And every time we made statements, we never learned how to make questions or how to make a negative statement. When we learn how to make positive statements. So today I would like to tell you a few words about how to make questions and how to make negative statements. Perhaps the best way to start is to teach you how to make the negative statements. The negative statements in Russian language, they are all made by this particle, не. Не is more or less, it has almost the same meaning as not in English. Also, I'm sure you already know these words. Да, нет. Yes and no. But please note that нет we only use as a complete answer. When somebody asks you a question, are you from Russia? No. So in this case, we use нет when it's not a part of the sentence, but it's the entire sentence. Нет. But when you want to make a negative statement, then you must, when this particle is a part of a sentence, then you must use не. And you can use it to make negative statements for verbs, for adjectives, and for nouns. I'll give you an example. Это учитель. Это учитель means this is a teacher. And if you want to say this is not a teacher, then you will say это не учитель. Это не учитель. Это ложка. This is a spoon. Это не ложка. Means this is not a spoon. Now I was using this with nouns. Учитель is a noun and ложка is also a noun. You can use it also with verbs. Это нет учителя, это неправильно. Нет. That's incorrect. Это не учителя. You must use without the. Это не учителя. Это не учителя. You can use нет only if this is нет is a complete sentence. So you say нет, full stop. Это не учителя. Нет is a full sentence. One word is a full sentence. Нет. The word нет, actually, there are two ways how you use нет. First is as a full sentence. Не is used for all genders. You see, учитель is masculine. Ложка is feminine. It is used for masculine, for feminine, and for neutral, for all genders. Actually, one more way how you use нет. Нет means don't have. Don't. Don't have. For example, у меня есть машина. I have a car. at my side, there is a car. And when you want to say, I don't have a car, нет машины. However, this sentence you will not be able to create at the time because you must know how to use cases. And cases we haven't learned yet. I just let you know in advance that нет is also used as I don't have, because in Russian, the possessive sentences, I have something is built in a way which is different from English, the special way. So here we use нет. In all other cases, we use не. And let me give you some examples of how to use не with verbs. Я жду. I'm waiting. Я не жду. I'm not waiting. Он завтракает. He is having a breakfast. Он не завтракает. So it's a very simple principle. You just put не either in front of a noun or in front of a verb. And it works in the same way with adjectives. Книга синяя. The book is blue. Blue in terms of color, not in terms of style or in terms of blue. The book is blue. And then you put не in front and becomes the book is not blue. However, the problem with adjectives is sometimes не is written separately, sometimes it is written together with the adjective. For example, машина большая. The car is big. When you want to say the car is not big, you say машина небольшая and you write it together. However, I will not explain to you when you must write it together or separately, because this is quite a big topic. At least you'll be able to use it in speech. You know, in speech, when you say небольшая, nobody knows whether it's together or separate. Yeah, just the main point that you must remember in this lesson, when you use не, you can use it with all, with verbs, with adjectives, and with nouns, and you just put it in front, and you get negative statement. Okay, any questions? Cindy is frowning. I think Cindy has a question. No? Is it very confusing? I think the lessons become more confusing. The more we go to the end, they become more, because it's difficult to remember everything we learned. Not to worry. You know what? Although our course is going to finish in about a week or so, but I'm willing to spend more time with you practicing all those rules that we have learned before. I think there will be some gap in time between the level A1 and A2, maybe a few weeks, so I can spend a few weeks, and even with the same frequency, we can meet online and I'll explain things all over again. Yeah. Because I hope you guys, you can digest everything I said. It's my responsibility to make you understand the basic Russian language. Okay, now about questions. Questions in Russian language, just like in English, you can split into two types. The first type is a general question, which can be answered yes or no. For example, are you Russian? Yes, I am. No, I am not. And making a general question in Russian is very simple. You don't need to. Mohit. Sometimes you must write небольшая together. Sometimes you must write it separately. It depends on situation. It is more frequently it happens that you write it together. But it is the same meaning, it's just the grammar. The teacher will give you a wrong mark if you put it together. But it's the same. In speech, it sounds exactly the same and the meaning is the same. But according to Russian grammar, sometimes you must write separately, sometimes you must write anything. I'm not able to explain it today. The topic is too complicated. Okay, how to make a statement. So, они учителя. Они учителя. They are teachers. And you want to ask, are they teachers? Then you put a question mark at the end. And in speech, you make a question by intonation. You say, они учителя. Они учителя. You're raising the intonation. Они учителя. Да. Они учителя. Или нет. Они не учителя. And this applies to его зовут Иван. His name is Ivan. Is his name Ivan? Question mark at the end. And you make an intonation change. Его зовут Иван. And I believe these two examples are sufficient because for every general question, you use the same method. You use your intonation to make a question. What if you want to ask specific questions? Today we're going to learn a few question words. In English language, I'm aware of, yes, I'm aware of, I think, 5 or 6 question words. Who, what, why, where, when, how many. And in Russian language, that would be кто, почему. Что они учителя? Shahbaz, this sentence is correct, but here is like sort of emotion attached. If you put что in front, it attaches an emotion. It means that you thought that they are not teachers. How come are they? How come are they teachers? So it's a bit it's a more complicated question. Кто они? Да? Когда? Сколько? So these are the question words, and I think it is not good if we learn how to use them today. Actually, it's easy to use them, but since the amount of information today was already quite big, then your homework for today will be only to memorize those words. And in order to memorize it well, try to keep the sequence. You make a list, like remember it as a poem. Кто, что, почему, где, когда, сколько. Please use the sequence. Because next time when you want to check if you remember them all, you just say the sequence out and you will see which word you remember and which you don't remember. Okay, and
Я не понял homework. Домашнее задание. Повторите, пожалуйста.
Sharbas, please memorize those 6 words just to memorize them. So tomorrow, we'll have a lesson tomorrow if I'm not wrong. I'll ask you how to say where, and you'll just say where is где. Just to memorize those words. Let's spend the rest of today to memorize those 6 words. That's all. And we already run out of time. So this is all for today. Thank you very much for coming and see you again tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Большое спасибо.
Спасибо вам тоже. Спасибо.